Welcome into episode number 6 of Cheers to Baseball, presented by Old Dominic. He's Chris Domino. I'm Kevin McAlpin. Thanksgiving week, and we are certainly thankful for you joining us for another episode as we raise a glass and toast to the great history of Major League Baseball. And Chris, we'll talk about free agency coming up here in just a little while. Certainly a busy, eventful week in Braves country last week. A lot of guys have come and gone. There's some open spots on the 40-man roster. Let's start with that before we talk about the man of the hour in Ronald Acuña Jr. Certainly a lot going on across the street here at Truist Park.
I think there were a few mornings where people woke up and saw whatever source they used to get their information and said, huh? Him? Yeah, Kyle Wright was the big one.
Yeah.
I mean, when you talk about a guy that you knew was going to miss this year, but coming off 21 wins, listen, Alex Anthopoulos, he's got a plan. I think the 40-man roster might be down to about 30. Mm-hmm. But what they're doing is they're just basically, I think, taking pieces that they're not sure. Some would have not helped them this year because they weren't going to be healthy. But they're not sure they're part of the future. Therefore, let's just say their time with us ends now.
Yeah.
And it was a little bit surprising, no doubt about it. I wouldn't call it shocking. But I just think at a certain point, this team is making decisions that are, how do we put the best 26-man roster out this year? I have no idea what the Braves minor leagues looks like. Somebody will tell me there'll be a ranking. I don't think it's stocked where people would say top 5. I don't think it's that. I think Alex Anthopoulos is working the way you have to. This business, the main part of the business, is the 26 that are up, the 10 or 12 or 15 that will make it up at some point during the season because they have to. And the rest of it really is just, how do I manipulate and work my 40-man roster where I have the reserves that I want and believe are going to help us much more now than in the future.
We were shocked when Kyle Wright's name came up. I was even more surprised to see a guy like Braden Shoemake, who I think a lot of folks felt like, okay, we've seen Vaughn Grissom. We don't really know a whole lot about Braden Shoemake. Could he maybe get an opportunity in the not too distant future? That to me might have been as surprising as knowing that, okay, you were going to be without Kyle next year. I still felt like he was part of the plans moving forward. Not so much Michael Soroka. It felt like he was a non-tender candidate. They do move him in another deal. So certainly a lot of moving parts with this roster. But to me, Shoemake, a guy that I think a lot of folks were pretty excited about the progress he's made. I was a little surprised by that one.
No room at the end.
Yeah.
He was not going to take RC's job. They're going to get a backup 26-man roster type guy to work all the infield spots. It just wasn't going to be him. So they probably wanted him to develop more from an offensive point of view in the minors. Is he 20?
I want to say 25, 20. Yeah.
So I think that's also part of it. They
Yeah.
got rid of another pitcher. You know, they got rid of. It just looked like a lot of numbers for one guy that everybody looked at the ERA and said, I don't get it. Mm-hmm. They believe there's something in all of these guys that they picked up that they're going to work on. They're going to, there's a couple of guys who won't be here, who even you got. You're going to have to actually earn your spot around here. So I'm not. I care about the 26. The winter meetings are going to be interesting because I'm looking to see if the Ohtani thing gets closer done, if Bellinger gets closer done. The Aaron Nola deal was, we'll talk about it now. Do I believe the Braves were in on Aaron Nola? Yeah, I believe they were in on Zach Wheeler when he was out there. But at a certain point, the years and eventually the numbers get to a point where you go, no. And Aaron Nola's people, give him credit, I think they got 2 extra years.
Yeah.
It's a 7-year deal. It's a 7-year deal. Major League Baseball is now, it's official, man. It's been done before this. But that deal tells me that back year or 1 or 2 at the end, $1 million, $5 million, tens of millions of dollars. It's just throw it away.
Yeah.
I got to sign the guy now.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't getting a 7-year deal from anybody else. No. But if the threat of a 6-year deal existed, Philadelphia just said, we throw the 7 and we take the AAV down. And at the end, if it's the last 2 years, when he's 37, it's a lost cost.
Right.
At that point.
And ultimately, if you do win a World Series or maybe 2 along the way, the Bryce Harper, the Trey Turner, the Castellanos, the Schwarber, the Nola deals won't feel so bad on the back end if you were able to accomplish at least 1 World Series along the way.
And Dave Dombrowski's not there to win anything but a World Series.
Right.
So, now you hear, well, maybe you trade for Mike Trout. Maybe the Dodgers are going to trade for Mike Trout. But Philadelphia should trade for Mike Trout. Okay. Yeah, they could and should.
Yeah.
I believe there's a deal that Anaheim's going to take for Mike Trout. I just don't know if you have the pieces. Last one. It's interesting you say that because my thing has always been in free agency when you're talking about the big number guys. Anybody that's worthy of a 4-year deal is a good player.
Yeah.
if you sign a guy for 4 years, that means at one point, I'm talking big money, you believe you're going to be one of the 2 best teams in baseball. If you sign a guy to an 8-year deal, I'm looking at 2 World Series at that point. Nola's 7. That deal only is viable. The Harper deal is viable. Turner's viable when you win it all.
Right.
I'm not sure what money you get back if you win it all, how much a World Series gets you. Seating, luxury boxes, signage, TV money if your contract's up, certainly will go up. But I'm of the belief that if you do a 4-year deal with a guy at a big number, you honestly believe. You don't do it if you're Kansas City. You don't do it. They don't sign big-name guys because they don't think in that 4-year window they're going to the World Series.
Right.
You can turn it around. Texas did. But they spent $500 million. Yeah. $500 million basically to win a World Series. Is it worth it? I don't know. Can you win a second? Then all of a sudden now you start talking about manipulation of numbers on your books.
I think the other thing, too, is the World Series equity you get the following year.
Sure.
Where it's almost an investment where, okay, I do have sellouts 85% of the time, so I'm making a little bit on the back end as well. Very interesting to see how it all plays out. We know that there are still some very big names, including the biggest fish this offseason in Shohei Ohtani, who could move earlier than some of the other. You know, Bryce Harper, Manny Machado, they were into February in spring training. Sounds like Ohtani kind of wants to get this thing done sooner rather than later.
Yeah, sounds like it's become the sort of thing, though, that's bothersome. Sounds like he doesn't want to be on the East Coast. Sounds like it wouldn't make sense for him to be there. Sounds like he wants to sign early, and I don't even know who's saying that. Like, look, his agents, the one thing that they did was to make sure that this guy was still their client at the end of the day. I can't imagine. Now, maybe he's not this guy, but somebody in his campus, the ass kissing that had to go on to make sure, because a couple of guys have left their agencies right before the free agency, right before the big number. I've seen it. You've seen it. It happens for a bunch of different reasons. That group, there was a time in the middle of the year when he was, well, we're going to speak for him now. I just said, oh, God, I don't know if they're holding on like bare knuckles on the edge of the cliff, but you don't lose a guy who's about to maybe sign a $500 million deal. So the agent part of it becomes really interesting. So when I hear some people are saying, nobody is saying anything unless it's coming from Ohtani himself, and Ohtani himself telling his agency what to do. And if his agency screws up, or if they screwed up this year, they would have lost the biggest fish in the ocean. Yeah. So you don't do that. That is part of this business, is to hold on and hang on when you have an opportunity for a client like that.
Yeah, no question about it. So obviously all eyes and all ears will be on the winter meetings coming up in a few weeks up in Nashville. One guy we know who doesn't have to worry about agents and going anywhere is the guy who was recently named the most valuable player, Chris, in the National League. It was unanimous for Ronald Acuña Jr., and what a season it was for Ronald. You go back to the injury in 2021, he doesn't have the normal offseason. You have to deal with the lockout. He's not working out with team trainers. Then he just wasn't himself last year. He proclaimed from almost day one of spring training, I'm back. Well, I don't know if this is back or what he can come back and do more of than he did this year. But man, oh man, what an unbelievable year it was for Ronald.
You want the good news or the bad news?
Just get the bad news out of the way.
He set the bar very high. To go do this again, he set his own bar very high. Now, what will it take to win an MVP? Maybe it's this, maybe it's not. It depends on who else in the National League puts up numbers, whether they're the old-fashioned numbers, home runs, RBIs, which will put you in fourth place, because we found that out with Matt Olson.
Yeah.
The old-fashioned numbers will put you in fourth place. Did he lead the National League in home runs?
He led Major League Baseball in home runs.
Did he lead the National League in RBI?
And Major League Baseball.
Okay.
Yeah, correct.
What did that get him?
A fourth-place finish.
Fourth-place finish.
Yeah.
So, again,
Great job, Matt.
I'm not telling you it's right or wrong, but he's out of the medal count. Yeah. He doesn't get to stand on the podium with the old-school numbers.
Yeah.
Ronald Acuña, when you start to deal with all the numbers, look, it was unanimous, as we said. It was unanimous in both leagues.
Yeah.
First time that's ever happened. You know, Ohtani, the guy we just talked about, was a unanimous MVP as well. This is going to be fascinating to watch. 25 years old?
25.
And he has the World Series ring. The 21 injury didn't put him in the postseason, that spotlight. 2022, not healthy enough. Didn't really have a chance to shine. I agree with you. Spring training was, I'm back. I'll go with something that I was told in June, and I said it on the air here in Atlanta, but it's time to say it again. I had asked about workouts, conditioning, and everything else, and I asked one of the strength guys, how's it going around here? He brought Ronald Acuña up first, and he said, this guy is not fooling around. He is not walking around like he's better than everybody else, and he knows this and he knows that. I was told in June, this guy's workouts, if you were going to rank who was doing them, if you had that board in the high school gym where you say, okay, who gets the 5 gold stars? It was Ronald Acuña. As soon as I heard that, and it was a couple months into the season, I said, really? Oh, yeah. He's attacking these workouts like nobody else around here. I said, oh, okay. Good sign as well.
Yeah.
That was really just something interesting to hear. I'm not sure if he knew what to do at 21, 22, 23. He knew what to do coming off the injury.
Yeah, he really did. It was really incredible. And again, you look back to last season, and there were flashes of it, right? There was a week or two, and then it would be another week where he's hobbling around a little bit. It's not back to where it needs to be.
Not attacking a baseball in the outfield the way that you thought he might have.
Yeah.
Especially going backwards.
It almost feels like we hear pitchers talk about coming off Tommy John surgery, and it felt very similar to Ronald with the leg, just going, you know what? I don't know if I can push it. I don't know if I can trust it. But I think having that extra time. And this dude, oh, by the way, is down playing winter ball. And all he did the other night after he was a unanimous MVP, he hits a home run in his winter ball game down in Venezuela. Take some time off, brother.
There was a Zoom call in case he won it.
Yeah.
I missed the first few minutes where he was on for a few minutes. Then they said, Ronald's got to go. Ronald's got to go. He's got an at-bat.
He's on deck. Yeah.
So he was literally doing it. And then, I mean, I'll just tell you, he never came back to that Zoom call because at one point he had to, I don't know, do the BBWAAAABAB, whatever, press conference video, and then he went and hit a home run. So, okay. All right. I wouldn't be playing winter ball.
Yeah.
I will tell you this. The fans certainly appreciate him being there. I'm sure it's great for the gate. I don't know how many times a guy's won an MVP award and then hit a home run in a game where they're keeping score. Like, think about that. When was the last time a guy won an MVP and then was like 2 for 4 with a home run on the day he won the MVP?
Yeah.
Because how many MVPs are playing winter ball? How many MVPs are doing anything the third week in November after coming off an MVP season?
To be young again.
They're working on their tans.
Traveling.
Whatever. Maybe carpool.
Yeah.
This guy was playing baseball in Venezuela.
Let me ask you this. This might be a stupid question, and you might laugh at me, but do you like him still playing winter ball, or would you almost just prefer him to say, you know what?
No.
Take a break. I mean, shut it down for a month.
Do I like it? No. Would I ask him to not do it? Yes.
Yeah.
Will he listen? I don't know. I think I have the right to say.
Yeah.
I think I probably have the right to say no playing. Again, you want to make the guy happy if he thinks it's going to help him or whatever. Now, this is a pretty quick season.
It is. It's a short, like a month, like a couple of weeks.
A month,
yeah,
tops. So of December, January, he'll get refueled, do whatever it is. Kids have fun. I hope. Not worry about his contract that he's getting. Look at my face. Relatively speaking.
Yeah.
No, listen. You don't say only $100 million.
Right.
You don't use those two words in the same sentence. But it is kind of interesting that he is vastly. Is the word underpaid?
I think that's a good way of putting it.
Underpaid?
Sure.
He is vastly undercompensated.
Yeah.
He's doing okay, folks, but relatively speaking, he is bang for your buck guy.
If he was hitting the free agent market this offseason, he would be right up there as one of the top receivers this offseason.
Listen, we know that the $300 million deal exists. Juan Soto, I don't know if Juan's going to get 4. I don't know if Ohtani's going to get 5. But the Juan Soto deal is his deal.
Yeah.
And he could argue, I got an MVP and I win, sort of. Again, not being in the 21 World Series, but my team is playoff teams as opposed to Soto. So the Soto deal would be an interesting comp.
Right.
But he's not going to bite at that apple for a few years.
Yeah, well, he certainly has created his own club. We know it's the 40-plus, 70-plus club. And I think back to this summer when you and I would get together and do the pregame show, and we'd say, he's got to pick up the home runs a little bit. The stolen bases, we knew the stolen bases were going to be there.
Blow by 50.
we right on
by 50.
Yeah, and I think he was asked by Pedro Martinez the other night, what about 50-50 next year? And I don't think that he would even think about stopping at 50-50. Like, I think he has his sights, while 40-70 was a remarkable accomplishment. Like, Ronald's not satisfied with that number.
40-70 is goofy, though. Like 40-40. Oh, who's 40-40? 40-70 doesn't even sound like a real group. Right. And we'll see if he could actually do it again. But the 50-50 club is... There is a 50-50 guy. Albert Bell had 50 homers, 50 doubles one year. So it's a different version of the 50-50 club. But there is a 50-50 club, and Albert Bell is in it.
Well, there you go. We'll see if maybe Ronald creates another club of his own next year. I mean, it's just...
He's 25. And I bet the field. Yeah. You know that. if the field bet was, does Ronald Acuña win another MVP, I bet the field. You know, I go, no, there's too many other guys. I'd bet it. I'd bet that this guy's going to win an MVP. It's sort of like Tiger during the run that he had. You go, do you really want to bet the field against Tiger in a major? No, not. He's the one exception. I'll bet Tiger. And there was a 3-year run where if you bet Tiger instead of the field, you would have won money. I'll bet on this guy winning another MVP at some point.
It's incredible what he did this year. And again, sights set on even higher. And I like it. I like that he's thinking like that. He's thinking bigger. And you know, for a guy who's your leadoff hitter, for him to accomplish what he did, especially when it comes to the stolen base. And look, people are going to say, well, the stolen bases, the bigger bags. The bases were like that much bigger than last year. Come on, can we get rid of that narrative?
Look, what I hope it does, I hope it brings the stolen base back into the game. You know, if you get 70, the biggest number for me and him was runs scored. I never thought he should be a leadoff hitter until this year. I never thought. I just said, I think you're using him wrong. I'd want him to be a run producer. Michael Harris at the bottom of the lineup helps me get him RBIs. The bottom of the lineup being better than people thought with RC at times, that guy can drive in runs. But I needed him to have run production. The RBIs and the runs scored were the things that I cared about with Ronald Acuña. 40-70 is nice. I just needed him to have opportunities to drive in runs. That existed. And I need him to score runs, obviously. That certainly existed. I thought he's a 2-hole hitter. I can make a case. I can make him a 3-hole hitter for the run production. But this was the year where I said, okay, he's sort of in a place where he can do all of that. And he ended up doing it.
He really did. So obviously we raise a glass to Ronald and his accomplishments this season. And again, we'll keep an eye on the winter ball score. Why not at this point? I don't know if I've ever checked Venezuelan off-season scores as closely as I'm going to do for the next couple of weeks.
You know what I really want coming out of there?
Healthy?
What I want from my umpires and offensive linemen. I want to hear nothing.
Right.
I want to hear nothing. Not a thing. Oh, good, it's over.
Yeah.
Did his team win? Sure.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Let's get to the finish line.
Yeah.
And I don't care. 5-2 on a Tuesday. Doesn't matter. Yeah. Let's get to the finish line and just hear, hey, Ronald's now going back to the States or wherever he's going to go, and he's going to get his stuff done.
How surprised were you that it was unanimous? Because for the longest time, about all September, I'm old enough to remember Bill Plaschke's column saying, it's over. Betts is the MVP. And it was unanimous.
Do you know why? Because there's always somebody who says, well, look, here's what I figured out. That Mookie Betts was blah, blah, blah. And he's used some formula that he's trying to, look, he wants his 15 minutes. He wants people like us to call him. Why would you do that? He wants a newspaper or a columnist to say, let's study why this guy had his vote that way. The fact that nobody did it is more interesting to me. He was going to win the MVP. Yep. But I just like the idea that nobody went so rogue as to, well, let me explain to you why Freddie Freeman was the MVP. And he starts breaking out a slide rule. Baseball doesn't need slide rules. We don't need algorithms. And the game is the game. I'm glad nobody actually decided to step out.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, listen, we will all raise a glass to Ronald and his accomplishments this season with our friends.
Raise a bottle.
Yeah, raise a bottle.
Yeah, the MVP.
Yeah.
Fourth place. Listen, here's what I'll do.
Go ahead.
I'll raise a glass to Matt Olson in fourth place.
That's right.
When you win the MVP, you raise a bottle.
He picked the wrong year to lead Major League Baseball in homers and RBI because of what his teammate and what Shohei Ohtani was doing. It was the wrong year. But, hey, it was a really encouraging sign for Matt Olson after a year where I'm sure there was so much going on in his head in 2022. For him to be that kind of player.
No doubt.
That's really exciting times for Braves fans. So we know Thanksgiving is this week. We are thankful for Ronald and the season that he had. We are thankful for our friends at Old Dominic as well. And if you are looking for some spirits, you got the family coming over. You got to have something to watch your football with. What is there? There's football all weekend, right? Is there Black Friday football?
There is. NFL.
How about that? Yep. So you're going to have to stock up. I just got back from doing the Bourbon Trail this weekend with some friends for their 40th birthday. That was a blast. Okay. But this is a tremendous product. I'm going to probably sneak one of these home for the holidays. You might have to do the same thing.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, just stick it in your pocket.
Yeah. Maybe we'll give Amanda one, too.
There you go.
I don't know. Maybe she could actually show up at some relative's house. Hey, look at me. I brought booze.
Yeah.
You know what I said? Listen, this is me now. Don't show up at somebody's house at Thanksgiving or at any point this weekend empty-handed.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be that person.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you got to go crazy. You have to buy him a washer and dryer. You don't have to bring something. Make sure you have something in your hand. If you're ringing a doorbell with nothing in your hand, you are not doing the visit right.
Mm-hmm.
So just understand that. Grab a bottle. Simple. They're sold everywhere.
Yeah. And look for old Dominic.
That's what I mean. Yeah,
I'm literally reading it right now because I learned. I got like an education. Yeah. This wasn't just a let's go drink all weekend.
Go ahead.
I'm reading the mash. 75% corn, 13% rye. That's about where I like it. And a little bit of malted barley in there as well. Gives it that nice, smoky, charred oak flavor.
Yeah, I've always said 2 fingers. Pour 2 fingers for you and anybody else that's at your house. Yeah. No, look, listen, you can go back. Here's what I've said. Here's why you don't do. Can I tell you why you don't do 3 fingers?
Sure.
Look, you do 3 fingers. You go, oh, I'm not. You do 2 fingers twice. You know what you've actually done? More than 3 fingers, but you didn't actually just go, oh, that seems a little bit tall. People get a little, oh, I don't know. 2 fingers, everybody goes, I'm in. Then you decide 2 more fingers and you're in.
Yeah.
3 fingers looks a little bit, oh, I don't know. I don't want crybabies this holiday season.
I'm going to go 3.
2 fingers, drink it. I'm going to go back.
And enjoy it. And folks.
That's 4 fingers. When all is said and done.
We quickly turn into a math lesson here. Whatever you are looking for, though, if you're looking for some great spirits for your holiday get-togethers, Christmas is like a month away. I don't know how that's even happened. Old Dominic, they bring you this podcast every single week. And, of course, we are thankful for them being part of it. Thankful for you folks out there for liking and subscribing. And I'm thankful for Chris Domino. I really am.
Listen, I'm thankful for everything right now. I'm getting up and down a little bit better.
Yeah, so you're moving around a little better.
Still got a lot of problems.
Right.
But you know what? 2 fingers. Doesn't hurt.
I'm going 3. Folks, enjoy your Thanksgiving. We'll do it again next week. Of course, we are thankful for Ronald Acuña Jr. as well. And we are thankful for all of you for tuning in for another edition of Cheers to Baseball.
Yeah, have a great holiday. Whatever it is you're doing, traveling, good luck with everything. Good luck with your family. If you got some relatives over that you don't really like, just, again, everybody's dealing with something at this point. Yeah. Everybody's dealing with something. I hope it goes well for everybody out there.